Okay, so today we're going deep on something I think we all can relate to in some way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Masturbation.
Lots to unpack there.
Yeah, and we've got a ton of research to sort of dig into.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is, and we're going to look at how it, connects with how we see ourselves,
Right.
how we feel overall, just really kind of getting a clear picture of what the science actually says.
Yeah, I think that's key, right? Because for so long,
Right.
this whole topic has been shrouded in this kind of like historical
So totally, yeah.
baggage,
Buff mouth.
cultural, religious ideas that really colored people's perceptions.
Yeah, absolutely, and
Because we got to look at what the research says now.
exactly.
Set that aside.
So let's start with self-confidence.
Okay.
I mean, this is something I think we all kind of are working on, right? Like how to feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
And the research here is super interesting because it points to this link between masturbation and higher self-esteem,
Okay.
particularly in married women. We saw that.
Oh.
Yeah. And then a better body image in others.
Makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Well, I think it really comes down to self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
Like you're taking control of your own pleasure,
Yeah.
exploring what feels good to you.
Yeah.
And that can be really empowering, you
Mhm.
know, like having that direct connection with your body.
Yeah.
Understanding your desires.
Totally.
It makes sense that it would translate into feeling more comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, I feel like it's like that idea of like getting to know yourself.
Totally.
Yeah.
Intimately.
And being okay with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's the hormones too, you know?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like dopamine, that feel-good stuff gets released.
Yeah.
And then there's oxytocin, which is, you
A
know.
love hormone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that plays a role in self-confidence as well.
So it's not just like fleeting pleasure. There's actually like
Right.
some rewiring happening potentially.
Yeah, potentially, like over time, you
Yeah.
know. And you're associating self-care and pleasure with feeling good about yourself.
And there was a study specifically on that, right? Like a 2015 study.
Yeah, there was one that really highlighted that link between masturbation and higher self-esteem in women.
Wow.
But it's important to remember, you know,
Yeah.
any guilt or shame around it.
Oh, totally.
It can totally undermine all those positives.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to something that has so many myths surrounding it.
Oh, yeah.
Physical appearance,
Okay.
skin and hair.
All right, let's debunk some myths.
Let's do it. So first of all, the big one, does masturbation cause acne?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
That's more likely hormones, you know, especially during puberty.
Right.
But what's interesting is there might actually be some skin benefits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the increase in estrogen during orgasm, that
Yeah.
can help with collagen production and elasticity.
Oh.
And then improved blood flow, you know, gives you that healthy glow.
Like the post-sex glow.
Exactly.
Wow.
And there was even a study that found improved skin firmness
Really?
in regular masturbators.
That's amazing. All right, what about hair loss?
Another myth.
Is there no link?
It's primarily genetics and hormones like DHT,
Right.
and masturbation doesn't really affect those.
Okay, good to know. All right, well, let's move on to mental well-being then.
All right.
What does the research tell us there?
It seems like there are some real upsides.
Like what?
Well, it can be a mood booster, you know?
Really?
Might even have some antidepressant effects
Wow.
because of those feel-good chemicals, right? Endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin,
Yeah.
all those get released.
So those are really key players here.
Absolutely. And it can also help with stress and anxiety,
Oh, yeah.
lowers cortisol.
Interesting.
A lot of people use it as a coping mechanism when they're stressed.
Yeah, that makes sense. But we have to remember, right?
Yeah.
Guilt can really play a role here.
Huge role.
Yeah.
If you're holding on to negative beliefs about masturbation,
Yeah.
that can actually increase anxiety
Right.
and even the risk of depression.
Yeah. So our mindset really matters.
It really does. And we should mention compulsive masturbation.
Right.
That's different. That
Yeah.
can have negative impacts.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to something I think is a little bit more sensitive.
Okay.
Spirituality.
All right.
So we looked at a bunch of different religious perspectives, right?
Yeah, we did.
And it's fascinating how much variety there is.
It is.
So with Christianity,
Yeah.
there's some denominations that condemn it, based on lust,
Right.
but then others don't really have an explicit prohibition.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
It really is. Judaism traditionally frowns upon it for men.
Right. It's the whole wasting seed idea.
Yeah, but modern views are more relaxed.
Yeah.
And for women, it's less of a concern.
Right.
Islam generally considers it haram.
Yeah.
Hinduism is a mix, it seems like.
Yeah, you see condemnation in some texts, but then there's also acceptance in others.
Right.
Like the Kama Sutra, for example, doesn't condemn it.
Right.
It's more about moderation. And for celibates, it's stricter.
Got it. And Buddhism.
They don't strictly ban it for lay people,
Okay.
but they see excessive indulgence as an obstacle.
Right. To spiritual progress.
Right.
So really interesting how our backgrounds really shape things.
He really is.
All right, well, let's look at the bigger picture now.
Okay.
How does masturbation fit into our relationships?
Right.
Our productivity, all that?
So in relationships,
Yeah.
understanding your own sexuality, that can actually enhance partner sex.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it can be a healthy outlet for when, partners have different sex drives.
Right, different libidos.
Exactly. And mutual masturbation can be a way to be intimate.
Yeah.
But it's important that it's not being used to avoid intimacy.
Right.
And communication is key.
Totally.
Especially if partners have different views about it.
Right now, what about productivity?
So we talked about those hormones, dopamine, oxytocin.
Right.
They can actually have a positive effect on focus.
Really?
And stress levels.
Huh.
But of course, too much of anything.
Right.
Excessive masturbation can lead to fatigue.
Right.
So moderation.
Always key.
Always key.
Okay, and overall life satisfaction, how does that play in?
Well, it can contribute to it in a positive way.
Yeah.
By reducing stress, improving mood, boosting self-esteem.
If guilt isn't a factor.
Exactly. Guilt can really bring things down.
All right, last but not least, adult content.
Okay.
It's everywhere these days.
It is.
So how does it factor into all of this?
It can have a big influence.
Yeah.
And often a negative one.
Really?
Yeah, it's linked to lower self-esteem, negative body image.
Why is that?
Well, you're constantly bombarded with these unrealistic portrayals. It can make you feel bad about your own body.
Yeah.
And it's been associated with increased depression and anxiety, guilt.
Wow.
And in relationships, it can lead to unrealistic expectations and potentially lower satisfaction.
So what we consume really matters.
Yeah, it really does.
All right, so to wrap up, what are some healthy approaches to all this?
Okay, so prioritize hygiene, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Lubricant can be helpful.
Yeah.
Take your time. Explore what feels good for you.
Yeah.
Maybe engage your imagination a bit more instead of just relying on visuals.
Right.
It's all about finding that healthy balance.
Yeah.
Recognizing how it can help manage stress, improve sleep, increase self-awareness.
And ditching those old myths.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it sounds like the bottom line is masturbation is a normal part of being human.
It is.
And when approached mindfully, without all that guilt,
right,
it can actually have benefits.
It can.
But our beliefs and the context all play a role.
They do.
This has been super insightful.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we all need to think about, on a personal level.
It is, and it makes you wonder, right? Like, how much do the norms and beliefs we have about sexuality, maybe even subconsciously, how much do those actually influence our well-being?
That's a good question.
And could any shame that we're holding on to be preventing us from fully embracing, a natural part of who we are?
It's definitely something to ponder.
It is.